Welcome to the Drive Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Attia. If you like this video, please let me know by subscribing to the channel or visiting my website to become a member for more exclusive content.
The idea of creating a culture of speaking up, or an atmosphere in the operating room where people feel that there's collegiality, teamwork, and they would feel comfortable voicing a concern, that no longer was a soft science. It now undermined a gigantic operation in a young girl and had catastrophic consequences. So all of a sudden, standardizing what we do became more of a science. That was another major step. And then the ubiquitous nature of medical errors got documented in a 2014 Mayo Clinic study, where in a survey of 6,500 doctors, 10.5% of doctors surveyed say that they had made a major medical mistake in the last 3 months.
Say that again. How many?
10.5% of U.S. doctors report that they made a major medical mistake in the last 3 months. Now, I might have felt like that in the lowest points of my residency, but I was surprised when I saw that. Now, it may have been caught, what we call the near miss, but it did sort of democratize the idea of, hey, if you felt like you've done something like this, you're not alone. It's actually sort of part of this crazy life that we have as doctors, where you're getting pulled in all these directions and there's pressure and stress. And that's assuming everything at home is fine. People are dealing with external pressures. And then in 2015, Mass General Hospital had a study done by researchers there, which Mass General is embarrassed by. They've taken down the study from their website. Most of their studies get put out in a communications sort of press release. The link doesn't work anymore, but the study showed that about 1 in 20 medications administered in the operating room involved an error. And that meant that about 50% of operations had a medication error. So every other operation has some medication error, most caught, but they did this sort of in-depth analysis of 277 operations at Mass General, not a small, shabby, chop shop.
One of the 3 best hospitals in the world, certainly in the United States.
As they like to call it, man's greatest hospital. I would say, to sort of round out the history of patient safety, the modern history, in 2016, we put out a report from my Johns Hopkins research team, said, okay, we've been citing this 1999 Institute of Medicine report that about 100,000 people a year die from medical mistakes. Has that number changed in the last 25 years? What's the updated number? Let's look at all the more recent studies. So we did a review and we showed a range where that number had a broad range, and the median point of that range was 250,000 deaths, which just would surpass the current number 3 cause of death, stroke, and would put it after cancer and heart disease, which are far higher, 650,000 a year. Medical error, if it were a disease, would rank as the number 3 cause of death using this estimate. Now, it's not a perfect estimate. We didn't do autopsies on every death. We don't have good numbers, but we basically said, look, if we were to update the number, it might even be higher. But the CDC does not collect vital statistics on medical errors because you cannot record a death as a medical error because there's no billing code for error. And that's how we record our national vital statistics. They use the billing code system.
No, but it could also be a lot lower. So how would we put a 95% confidence interval around that estimate?
125,000 to 350,000. Now, Joe Johns put out a study right just before, said it was 400,000. Now, that was the most highly cited study up until that time. And he would argue that our estimate was low. We didn't do any original research. We basically pooled together the existing studies, which are not perfect, but we're just trying to bring attention to it. And as Don Berwick commented on the study, whether it's the 3rd leading cause of death or 7th or 9th, it's a major problem.